Hello, everyone, and welcome to our live coverage of SpaceX Commercial GTO-1 mission launching from the Space Coast, that is from Space Launch Complex 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. We hope you all are doing fine and excited about this upcoming little bit of secretive SpaceX Falcon 9 launch. Well, if this is your first time joining us, hi, my name is Dipto Maitra. I'll be your friend and the host, providing commentary for today's mission launch, and you are watching AstroYonder live.
Roger, 0G, and I feel fine. Capsule is turning around.
Houston, we see a nominal MECO. Welcome to space.
We are super excited bringing you the coverage of SpaceX's 513th overall launch and the 85th Falcon 9 launch of this year. This launch marks SpaceX's recognized 500th Falcon 9's overall launch. Today's launch is the 56th one from the Space Coast, as SpaceX is on its way building their record-breaking launch cadence for this year. Currently, we are standing by for a Falcon 9 liftoff at 1:04 a.m. Eastern Time, 5:04 hours UTC from Florida, following a easterly trajectory for SpaceX Commercial GTO-1 mission. This mission marks the first time SpaceX has used the term GTO, which stands for Geostationary Transfer Orbit, in a mission name, suggesting maybe the start of a series of GTO-focused missions similar to SpaceX's other rideshare series like Bandwagon and Transporter. Now, just a heads up, AX4 crew is scheduled to undock from the space station aboard the SpaceX Crew Dragon Grace spacecraft at approximately 7:05 a.m. Eastern Daytime on Monday, July 14th, although it's still pending weather conditions. But let's keep our fingers crossed. And that will begin their return journey to Earth and splashdown of the coast of California. We will start our streams starting with the today only we will be having the farewell ceremony, and tomorrow we will have the hatch closing coverage that begins at 4:30 a.m. Eastern Daytime and followed by undocking coverage scheduled at 6:45 a.m. Eastern Daytime. The streams are already posted on our channel, so please don't forget to check them out. Now I would like to welcome, although the name is not mentioned, but it's just a comma or something, but thanks for tuning in, and I hope you will be joining, enjoying the stream. And I don't know how to take your name because your profile name is not having any name, it's just having a character. So please apologize me. It's my sincere apologies, sorry. Now, before we dive into the mission details, on behalf of AstroYonder team and our awesome moderators, thank you all for joining us for today's launch. We are so grateful to have you as part of the stream. Really appreciate you being here. And a huge shout out to our amazing YouTube community for the support as we bring you detailed coverage of space launches with all the stats and in-depth insights. We are truly grateful to have you all here with us. Now, we would love it if you guys could join the chat and let us know where you are joining from. Also, please feel free to share any questions, suggestions, or opinion with us. We would love to hear from you guys. Once again, just a reminder is me only managing the launch coverages on my own. So if by chance, although the chances are very low, we face any technical hiccups or issues, kindly bear with me and hang tight. There is absolutely nothing to worry. You won't miss anything, and I will do my best to guide you through the upcoming launch that will be happening approximately 42 minutes from now. SpaceX will be beginning their webcast 15 minutes prior to the liftoff. And here we are today, starting our stream a little bit earlier to share the insights of this mission with you guys. Now let's get into the mission details. According to 45th Weather Squadron officials, today it's quite promising and fair weather conditions for the launch. Although there is a 80% chances of favorable weather conditions at the time of launch, with 20% launch weather constraint violations related to cumulus cloud and anvil cloud rules. Otherwise, it's a 80% go for today's launch, and I hope that that will not cause any issues. Now, the forecast calls for a temperature of 27 degrees Celsius, 0.57 inch of light rain with 70% cloud cover, and a wind speed of 9 miles per hour. Now, recently, SpaceX hit a huge milestone last month with June 12th Starlink launch from Vandenberg, marking their overall 500th successful mission. And again, another milestone for them today, reaching 500th successful mission supported by Falcon 9 itself. Now let's take a look at today's payload details for the Commercial GTO-1 mission. This launch marks the 23rd dedicated non-Starlink launch for SpaceX this year. And based on FCC documentation and available information, the payload is widely believed to be the Dror-1 satellite, a geostationary communication satellite developed by Israel Aerospace Industries, also known as IAI in short. But still, payload identity is uncertain and not explicitly confirmed by SpaceX, although SpaceX officially refers to the mission as Commercial GTO-1 mission. This is the first SpaceX mission to use geostationary transfer orbit, that is the GTO term, which stands for, as I mentioned, geostationary transfer orbit in its name, potentially indicating the start of a new series of the GTO focused missions. Now, just a reminder, the exact specifications such as mass, dimension, power, propulsion, and communication bands are not fully disclosed in public sources, as it is common for commercial satellites due to proprietary concerns. But we did our extensive research and found some details about the satellite to share with you, assuming the payload is indeed the Dror-1. Now, the Dror-1 is the most advanced communication satellite ever built in Israel, designed to meet Israel's satellite communication needs for the next 15 years, providing advanced communication capabilities for governmental, commercial, and possibly military applications. Also, we would like to have beg your sincere apologies because we couldn't find any of the payload images except this image right now on your screen, although it's a rendered animation image. So sorry for that. Now, the key features of the payload includes advanced digital communication payload, which incorporates cutting-edge digital technology to enable flexible and efficient communication services. smartphone in space capabilities that allows for communication agility, enabling dynamic reconfiguration of the communication protocols through satellites operational lifetime, just similar to software updates which we do on our smartphone. And also the usage of local Israeli technologies developed by IAI, that is Israel Aerospace Industry, including the previously discussed advanced digital communication payload. The payload is expected to include an onboard propulsion system, likely chemical or electric, or maybe hybrid, to perform orbit raising maneuvers from geostationary transfer orbit to geostationary orbit and maintain station keeping in the geostationary orbit for 15 years. The specific propulsion details, example thruster type or propellant, are not publicly disclosed. Now, if you are confused by me saying geostationary transfer orbit and geostationary orbit, let me just quickly give you a short context. GTO stands for geostationary transfer orbit, is a transfer orbit as the name suggests, and it's a elliptical and inclined, used to reach the circular equatorial geostationary orbit, which stands for GEO in short, where satellites remain fixed relative to Earth. The geostationary orbit, also the GTO, is like a stepping stone, while GEO, that is a geostationary orbit, is the satellite's final destination for operation. Now let's come back to the payload details. Uh, it is likely equipped with two deployable solar arrays and batteries for power generation and storage, which is standard for geostationary orbit satellites, but specific power capacity, example the wattage, is not detailed in public disclosed sources. Now, while the exact frequency bands as well, example the C band, KU band, or KA band, are not specified, the advanced digital communication payload suggests the support of multiple bands to provide broadband, secure, and flexible communication services. Once again, not officially disclosed, likely this payload mass will be likely approximately 4,000 kilograms based on IAI AMOS HP bus family, and is well within Falcon 9 geostationary transfer orbit capacity, which is about 8,300 kilograms. So that's all about the payload details we could pull out for you guys. I know it's a little bit disappointing for me also to not provide you the more deeper insight for the payload details, but what to do? We don't have any sources for the payload available, and SpaceX itself is maintaining its secrecy. Now, well, just to remind you guys, I hope you remember Israel's last attempt to put a communication satellite in space ended in an accidental explosion back in 2016 when SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket blew up, destroying the IAA-made AMOS 6 satellite on board. It was a major blow to SpaceX at that time. Now, I hope uh, all this give you a bit more of insight. Once again, just to remind you, SpaceX is currently targeting a liftoff time of Falcon 9 from Cape Canaveral in Florida at 1:04 a.m. Eastern Time, 5:04 hours UTC on Sunday, July 13th of 2025. Now let's take a look at the flight record for the booster supporting today's mission. The booster with tail number 1083 supporting today's mission, a teenage booster, you can say, with 12 previous flights in its record, including 5 non-Starlink missions, which includes Crew 8, Polaris Dawn, Both were the Crew Dragon launch. Next up is the CRS-31, that is the Commercial Resupply Services mission to the International Space Station. That was a Cargo Dragon spacecraft launch. Next mission supported was the Astranis from one to many, IM-2 launch of Athena lunar lander, and additionally this booster supported 7 Starlink missions. Now awaiting its 13th flight, just 32 minutes away. The last mission supported by today's booster was Starlink 12-24 on June 10th of this year, that is 2025. Today, it is the 6th launch of the booster for this year. The booster's turnaround time as of today is 33 days. Today's mission will be the 6th launch from Pad Space Launch Complex 40 and 5th landing on Just Read the Instructions drone ship for this booster. And worth mentioning, most of the launches, that is past 7 launches of this booster, are from Pad Launch Complex 39A and 5 launches from Space Launch Complex 40, with previous 6 landings on a shortfall of Gravitas, 4 landings on Just Read the Instructions, and 2 on Landing Zone 1. Now let's take a look at the bar graph showing number of Falcon 9 launches each year. Before this upcoming launch, SpaceX completed its 84th Falcon 9 launch for this year, with the Starlink Group 10-28 mission launch from Cape Canaveral on July 8, 2025, which obscures the number of annual launches made till year 2022. SpaceX is now having 23 more than the launches made in the year 2022. Now with today's launch of Commercial GTO-1 mission, the bar graph shows 85 number of Falcon 9 launches for 2025. As of now, SpaceX is less than halfway to reach the number of launches made in the year 2023 and 2024. With today's launch, SpaceX will be having 11 behind 2023's total and 47 short of 2024. Last year, we all know SpaceX pulled off 132 Falcon 9 launches, marking a year with the highest annual launch, with a total of 134 launches, including 2 Falcon Heavy flights as well. SpaceX is once again aiming for another record-breaking year with around 170 to 180 launches that will be surpassing the last year's highest annual launch count. It's a pretty ambitious target, but hopefully it gets achieved. Now, if this stream fuels your love for space, give this stream a like. It's kind of a way of fine-tuning the trajectory of our mission to build a community with amazing space enthusiasts like you. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification so that you won't miss a single launch update. Here at AstroYonder, we believe together we will build the ultimate constellation of space enthusiasts, and we would be super happy and grateful to have you with us. Now, please allow me a couple of seconds to check whether the launch is on time or not and to stay informed. As of now, SpaceX is sticking with their liftoff time. Current liftoff time, that is at 1:04 a.m. Eastern Time, 5:04 hours UTC. Now, once again, I will be skipping the pre-launch timeline discussion since it's a typical Falcon 9 launch for any other mission with absolutely no alteration or deviations. You can track the pre-launch timeline updating live on the upper left side of your screen. However, there is one point I would like to mention just for your quick knowledge, and I hope it's pretty well known, but you might be also knowing this, that the strong back reclining process at Cape Canaveral and Kennedy Space Center differs from that at Vandenberg. Here at Cape Canaveral and Kennedy Space Center, we recline the strong back about a degree and a half or two, whereas at Vandenberg, we recline the strong back about 13 degrees away from the Falcon 9. So that's the only thing which is different in today's pre-launch schedule, as this is a Cape Canaveral flight. And most importantly, just want to share with you guys and to inform you as well, based on the post-launch details from SpaceX's site, that is a website, it seems the webcast might end just after the first stage landing, likely due to the customer request to withhold payload deployment visuals. But I really wish I get wrong in this, because SpaceX just mentioned the post-launch timeline up to the Falcon 9 first stage landing. They didn't even mention the when the SECO-1 will be happening. Now let's go ahead and have a look at the trajectory for today's mission. Meanwhile, would like to thanks JB for subscribing and supporting us. Thanks JB for tuning in, and I hope you will be enjoying the stream and I can meet your expectations during the stream. Now sit back and enjoy the stream with us. Now about the trajectory, Falcon 9 leaving the pad from Space Launch Complex 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station with the Commercial GTO-1, hopefully the Dror-1 satellite on board for a eastward trajectory heading into low Earth orbit that is indicated by that green line on your screen. The red line indicates where Falcon 9 first stage will land after stage separation, just a little later, leaving Florida's Space Coast. Today's mission is supported by Just Read the Instructions drone ship, one of the two here on the East Coast. This will be the 126th landing on Just Read the Instructions drone ship to date. And some recovery specifics for you guys. The planned booster recovery is approximately 660 kilometers, with estimated fairing recovery approximately 710 kilometers downrange. And the stage 2 debris reentry will be in the Arabian or Indian Ocean on its second orbit. Now here are some of the stats related to drone ship as of today on your screen right now. Although we all are familiar with SpaceX's drone ships, we know that currently there are 3 in SpaceX's drone ship fleet. Of the 3 drone ships, Just Read the Instructions and a shortfall of Gravitas are based here in Florida, while of course I Still Love You is stationed in California. We anticipate the addition of a 4th drone ship as previously promised by SpaceX, but as we are not having any information regarding that, I hope the inclusion might be happening late this year or possibly early next year. Now, speaking of fairing recovery, SpaceX will utilize a recovery vessel to retrieve both the fairing halves from the Atlantic waters. The 2 halves of the payload fairing will be recovered slightly farther, approximately 50 kilometers downrange from where the first stage lands on the Just Read the Instructions drone ship supporting today's mission, after they will smoothly splash down with the guidance of parachutes. We know SpaceX manufactures this fairing in-house with the total cost of 2 halves is nearly $6 million. So of course it's of no wonder that SpaceX aims to recover the fairing halves for repetitive use, just mirroring their same approach with the rocket boosters, upholding the motto of reusability and sustainability. Right now on your screen you can see how a fairing recovery operation looks like. The recovery vessel on your screen is Doug performing the recovery operations, but today's supporting recovery vessel is Bob, here at the East Coast. Other recovery vessels, Doug and Go Cosmos here at the East Coast, and Go Beyond at the West Coast are awaiting for their next assignment. And I guess you guys will be knowing that I guess you have heard that the Megan, the Dragon recovery vessel, was retired in the third week of June 2025 after completing her final mission with Crew 9 in March. She recovered a total of 24 astronauts in her career. Now, that means the upcoming Axiom 4 mission, Dragon recovery vessel will be the Shannon. So Godspeed to Megan and all the best for her future life. Now, before proceeding, let me once again check if the liftoff time is the same or not, because we still have 20% of launch weather constraint violations for today's launch. No, it's still the same. Absolutely fine. Now we have a request again for you folks. Consider giving this stream a like as a way of boosting us past max Q, passing through the maximum dynamic stress of YouTube algorithm. It really helps us connect with more space enthusiasts like you joining us right now and growing our community. As we are burning our all-day propellant to bring you the streams packed with stats and insights, we expect a little kind support from us, from you guys, by tapping the subscribe button and the bell icon. And with that, you will never miss any upcoming stream, like a perfectly timed launch window. Your support would really inspire us to keep up with our hard work to meet your expectations. Now we are just 7 minutes away from the webcast to begin. So let's just quickly get done with the stats we have for you guys. Today's launch marks the 513th SpaceX's overall launch and the 23rd dedicated non-Starlink launch of this year for SpaceX. This is going to be the 500th Falcon 9 launch to date, as recognized by SpaceX officially. Although, if we consider all of the Falcon 9 launches, they crossed the 500th launch mark previously. This will be the 13th flight of this particular Falcon 9 booster, supporting today's mission with tail number 1083, making a move after 33 days. This mission marks 85th Falcon 9 launch and SpaceX's 88th overall launch of 2025. This will be 141st Falcon booster reflight to date. That is a launch of a booster that has flown at least once before. 265th orbital launch for SpaceX, launching from Space Launch Complex 40, and the 320th overall orbital launch from Pad Slick 40. Now moving on to some reusability statistics. This launch marks 425th Falcon 9 booster reflight to date, 126th landing on just read the instructions drone ship, 13th landing for the first stage booster with tail number 1083 supporting today's mission. And with this first stage landing, SpaceX will be having their 383rd overall drone ship landing, marking 454th Falcon 9 landing so far and 473rd SpaceX's overall landing to date. Now just a quick note, we are not counting the landing failure on just read the instructions drone ship during the Starlink Group 12-20 mission this year. being a partial success. So there's a difference of 1 in the Falcon 9 and overall landing stats compared to what is listed on SpaceX's website. I just want to clear that so that you won't be getting confused. Now, speaking of drone ship landing, here are some of the drone ship landing stats prior to today's mission. It is worth mentioning that today's supporting drone ship, just read the instructions, previously supported the MTGS-1 mission, that is for the European Space Agency environmental satellite, which launched Sentinel-4A also in that mission back in July 1st. Once again, just to remind you, these drone ship landing stats on your screen right now are excluding today's mission. These are prior to today's launch. Now we are just 3 minutes away from the webcast to begin. Now let's quickly wrap up our stats. Now let's have a look into some key stats for SpaceX launches, specifically for this year, including today's mission. With this mission, SpaceX will be having its 88th launch of this year, and out of those, 62 were Starlink missions, 23 non-Starlink missions for commercial and government organizations, including this one, and 3 Starship launches. 81 of these missions used using a reuse booster, including today's one. Now, if we look into the geographical distribution of the launches, we get SpaceX will be having 57 launches from East Coast, 41 launches with today's mission from Space Launch Complex 40 here at Cape Canaveral. Meanwhile, on the West Coast, they are having 28 launches from Space Launch Complex 4 East at Vandenberg. As of now, 3 launches from Gulf Coast at Starbase in Texas and 2 Super Heavy booster catches with Starship's 7th and 8th test flights. On Flight 9, no Super Heavy booster catch was attempted. Now, according to some speculations, or you can say it's estimations, that the next Starship Flight 10 might be happening no earlier than August 10th. Now, coming back to stats for landing, they will be nailing it for the 83rd time this year. Most of the landings are on drone ship with 73 landings, including the 23rd landing for this year on Just Read the Instructions drone ship. As of now, a shortfall of Gravitas is leading in terms of landing made on the drone ship. For ground landings, they pulled off 10 of them, where landing zone 1 is having 5 landings, 2 is having 1 landing, and landing zone 4 witnessed 4 landings. SpaceX is now working on adding a landing pad at the East Coast in order to return to launch site, that is the RTLS capability, as SpaceX's lease for landing zone 1 and 2 expires in July this month. Looks like it will be using just 1 landing zone, unlike the 2 we are having currently. Now, prior to today's launch, the success rate for the ground landings is 98.90%. For drone ship landing, it is 96.95%, and the overall landing success rate is 97.32%. As mentioned previously, due to the failure of the landing on Just Read the Instructions drone ship during the Starlink Group 12-20 mission this year, for that, the landing success rate for this year dropped to 98.79%. Now, once again, this page of stats are prior to today's launch, and we have 148 successful launches since last mission failure. with Starlink 9-3 mission, 58 successful landings since last landing failure. Please excuse me. And 359 missions with at least one reused fairing, and approximately 684 number of fairing halves were reused prior to today's launch, with the fairing half reuse to reach 32 times. Moving on to this year's orbital launches, including today's one. This one is the 151st orbital launch of the year. United States is leading with 100 launches with 66.2%, followed by China with 36 launches. Russia with 8 launches, 2 launches each by Japan and India, and Europe with 3 launches. Australia is just about to debut their launch for orbital launch with the Ares 1 rocket, which is scheduled no earlier than July 16. Previously got scrubbed for fairing half issues and are later on for weather conditions. Now on your screen is the pie chart showing 2025 orbital launches by rocket variations, including today's one. Falcon 9 gearing up for its 85th launch. Now, while you check the pie chart, let me see if the stream is rolling or not, as it's time for the webcast to begin. Yep, it's live. That's nice, quite on time. So let's head over. And please give me a moment to set things up. Currently, SpaceX is having some pre-launch tunes going on. I will patch the mission audio feed once it drops. Now, adding value to your viewing experience here at AstroYonder is our top priority. If you felt we somewhat achieved that, please consider liking this stream. It really helps others to find this stream. Also consider subscribing to our channel as we work hard to bring you streams packed with stats, details, and insights. We would be incredibly grateful for your support. So there we go. We have the stream on. Now, once again, just a reminder, Axiom 4 crew is scheduled to undock from the space station aboard the SpaceX Crew Dragon Grace spacecraft at approximately 7:05 a.m. Eastern Daytime, that is on Monday, July 14, pending weather, to begin their return to Earth and splashdown off the coast of California. We will start our streams for the AX4 crew return with the farewell ceremony, which will be happening today, July 13. The streams are already posted on our channel. Don't forget to check them out. And we'll be starting the hatch closing coverage that will begin at 4:30 a.m. Eastern Daytime, followed by undocking coverage scheduled at 6:45 a.m. Eastern Daytime. So please don't forget to tune in.
And welcome to our live launch coverage of the Commercial GTO-1 mission. Falcon 9 is currently awaiting liftoff at 1:04 a.m. Eastern Time from Space Launch Complex 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. Hello everyone, my name is Tucker Spencer Wallace and I'm a Mission Integration Engineer here at SpaceX.
And I'm Zachary Lupin, an avionics supply chain engineer, and we are coming to you from Hawthorne, California.
This will be the 13th flight for the booster flying on today's mission, which previously supported 7 Starlink missions, as well as NASA's Crew 8 mission, Polaris.
I hope they will be disclosing some of the details for the payload.
And more. After stage separation today, the booster will once again head back to Earth, this time targeting a landing on our drone ship, Just Read the Instructions, which is currently stationed in the Atlantic Ocean. At our customer's request, we will be ending our live launch coverage just after first stage landing.
As the way I mentioned, we won't be getting any payload deployment views. We will be having the webcast up to the first stage landing that will be happening approximately 8.5 minutes.
For any reason we are unable to launch today, a backup opportunity is available tomorrow at 1:04 a.m. Eastern Time. So while that clock ticks closer to T0, let's learn a bit more about the rocket flying on tonight's mission.
Well, right now they will be making us to learn about the
That's
Falcon 9.
there on your screen, a
But
two-stage rocket
just to
is
remind you, I
150
hope,
feet tall
uh,
and getting ready for liftoff in
as
just
they said,
about
for the
7
customer
minutes,
request, they
7
won't
minutes and
be
40 seconds from now.
having any further views after first stage landing. And I guess for that, they won't be disclosing any details for the payload.
And is what allows it to rise off the pad and keep accelerating towards space.
The bottom section is the first stage, or booster, powered by 9 Merlin 1D engines. Those engines will burn for the first couple of minutes, carrying Falcon 9 through the thickest layers of Earth's atmosphere. Early in flight, Falcon 9 will perform a gravity turn, a smooth pitch maneuver that tilts the rocket sideways to build up horizontal velocity.
Because getting to orbit isn't about going straight up, it's about accelerating so fast. Good call out there. It's about accelerating
So, as you heard, and we just passed T minus 7 minutes, we are now chilling the 9 Merlin engines. And here we will open up the pre-valves which allow the propellant down to the engines to get them prepared for the ignition just before T0.
Again, after stage separation, today's booster will land on our drone ship, Just Read the Instructions, out in the Atlantic Ocean. And as we mentioned, this particular booster will be returning to Earth for its 13th time. Once separation is complete, the second stage takes over.
Stage 1, RP1 load complete.
Good call out there. Like I said, the second stage takes over, powered by a single...
So we got the call out stage 1 RP1, that is the refined kerosene for the propellant for the Falcon 9 is now complete.
Wide carbon composite shell that protects the satellite during the uphill trip through the atmosphere. Approximately 3 minutes into flight, both halves of the fairing will separate and parachute back to Earth. Both fairing halves on today's flight are flight proven, one half flying for its 18th time and the other for its 14th time.
So that marks the 686 approximately fairing halves to be getting reused.
In flight. Stage is separating, the first stage landing itself on a drone ship in the middle of the ocean, and fairings parachuting back again, all ready for another flight to space.
Every part of Falcon 9 is part of a larger design that comes together to do one thing: escape gravity. And that is the first step in building our multi-planetary...
We are getting close to T-5 minutes mark, and just soon we will be getting the call out for tanks getting pressurized for strong back retract.
Things are pressing for the start of strong back retract.
And there we go. We just heard that the call out. With that, we will be pressurizing the tanks. We are adding a bit of gas to stiffen up the tanks so that the clamp arms can open with a solid structure holding the Falcon 9. I hope they will be giving us some close-up views, but who knows, as this is a secretive mission, they won't be even showing that, but let's hope that.
Strong back retract has started.
Well, we got the close-up, and it's I guess it's a I payload. You can see the emblem on the payload fairing, so I guess it's the Dror-1 satellite only. So that's a good confirmation for this close-up views we got. So right now we got the call out for strong back retract process being initiated.
It provides fuel, power, telemetry, and command connections between ground systems and the rocket.
Would like to welcome Adele P. Thanks for tuning in, Adele. And we are grateful to have you with us. And we are thankful to you for being here with us. I hope you'll be enjoying the stream.
Right now, both stages are loaded with roughly 1 million pounds of propellant. That includes RP1, a highly refined kerosene, and liquid oxygen, which has been chilled to about negative 300 degrees Fahrenheit.
Now, while we are watching this live view of the Falcon 9, a couple of important steps were completed. The spacecraft team switched to internal power a few minutes ago. The fueling of the Falcon 9 first stage is finished, meaning all the RP-1 propellant is now on board. We are still loading the liquid oxygen on both the first and second stages. We will be listening in a couple of minutes for LOX load completion for both the stages. And there we go, we got the call out for stage 1 LOX load is complete.
And as that loading is wrapping up, it does wrap up in 2 steps. The first stage finishes around T-3 minutes, while the second stage finishes just about a minute later. You've also probably noticed some white clouds venting from the rocket. That's not smoke, it's condensation. As the liquid oxygen warms slightly inside of the tanks, some of it boils off, and that gas is vented to manage pressure inside the vehicle. When the vented oxygen hits the warm, humid Florida air, it instantly condenses into clouds, which is the same principle as your breath on a cold morning, just on a much larger scale.
Now, the tanks are also pressurized using helium, and that helium is chilled too, so it stays compatible with the cryogenic plummet. Now, during flight, that pressurization helps force propellant into the engines as the tanks empty.
Next up, we are expecting the call out for stage 2 LOX load completion. We are still loading liquid oxygen on stage 2, and we did got the call out. Stage 2 LOX load is complete. All propellants are now on board the Falcon 9 with massive 1 million pounds of propellant. We are now beginning to vent down the pressure that was remaining in the tubing on the strong back. That's why we can see those clouds coming out there, and we heard about them in a more detailed way from the webcast.
Ground gas closeouts.
And there we go, ground gas closeout. That's where we bleed the extra pressure off, and that cold gas, when it reacts with the moist humid air, gives us this nice white cloud, which is an healthy indicator of launch coming up. Next event, T-1 minute, we should hear the call out that Falcon 9 flight computers are in startup and controlling the rocket for the remainder of the countdown.
And head into the final minute before launch.
Falcon 9 is in startup.
Right on time. Falcon 9 flight computers on stage 1 and stage 2 are running the rocket through last minute of count. Now let's listen to the go call out.
Launch director, go for launch.
There we go. SpaceX launch director giving go for the launch. We are coming close to T-30 seconds. All systems continues to remain go.
T-30 seconds.
Although SpaceX didn't explicitly mention anything about the payload. And once again, just a reminder, we will be having the webcast to getting end just after the first stage landing. So now let's sit back and enjoy the Falcon 9 liftoff.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mission. Engines full power. And liftoff. Go SpaceX, go Commercial GTO-1.
Falcon 9 is pitching downrange.
M1D chamber pressure is nominal.
We have a successful liftoff. Falcon 9 has cleared the tower. We got an awesome view. Falcon 9 lifting off from the pad, just looking like a fireball getting off from the Earth. We are right now T+40 seconds into the flight. Falcon 9 on its way with the payload into low Earth orbit.
Telemetry nominal.
Good call out. Power and telemetry is nominal. We are right now in a throttle bucket, throttling down the 9 million engines, preparing for the period of maximum dynamic stress coming up. Right now, Falcon 9 is supersonic, which means the Falcon 9 exceeded Mach 1.
Falcon 9 accelerating through the atmosphere, and the ambient static pressure are at their greatest.
There we go. We got the call out from Max Q. Next up, we will be hearing the call out for MVAC engine chill.
To avoid being pulled back down to Earth and get into orbit.
You can track our progress to orbit by keeping an eye on the Stage 1 telemetry in the bottom of your screen. Now we have several events coming up in quick succession. Main engine cutoff, or MECO, stage...
MVAC chill has started.
There we go, we got the call out. Right now we are starting to chill down the MVAC engine on the second stage in preparation for ignition just after stage separation. Up next, we will see 3 events in rapid succession. Oh wow, that's awesome view, tracking views of the Falcon 9 first stage. So after we will be next having 3 events in rapid succession as I was mentioning. First, main engine cutoff, also referred as MECO, on the first stage, followed by stage separation and then first ignition of the second stage MVAC engine, also known as SES-1, which will boost the payload to low Earth orbit. So let's listen to the callouts.
Shortly after SES-1, though again, as we mentioned,
Really, we are getting some awesome tracking views of the Falcon 9.
MECO.
As you just heard, we've just passed through many
Stage separation confirmed.
excellent callouts coming in here from the nets.
MVAC ignition.
So there we go. We got all the callouts for all the back mission, MECO, followed by stage separation and then MVAC engine ignition. Now nitrogen thrusters are reorienting the first stage as the flight computers commanded 4 hypersonic titanium grid fins for deployment after a successful stage separation. You can see that on your screen. Next up is the fairing separation confirmation callout.
We should be hearing good call out there. We should be hearing that call out for fairing separation in just a few moments from now.
Fairing separation confirmed.
So there we go. We got the call out for the fairing separation being successfully jettisoned. Once again, just to remind you, today we won't be having any second stage view for the customer's request, that is IAI, Israel Aerospace Industries, and we won't be having any payload deployment views as well. The webcast will conclude just after first stage landing on just with the instruction drone ship. Right now, the first stage will rise towards apogee. I guess the apogee is 119 kilometers before descending back down towards the landing on drone ship just with the instruction station in Atlantic Ocean. And the apogee, I think it's 120 kilometers. You can see from this from the telemetry.
Because it is so dark with the cameras from the booster.
So it's confirmed that the apogee for the first stage before landing is 120 kilometers. Second stage, meanwhile, with its full capacity in middle of 6-minute burn, is on its way into the parking orbit with the Commercial GTO-1, possibly the Dror-1 satellite payload on board. Now, currently we are preparing for the first stage to make its return to the drone ship landing site with just with the instruction station in the Atlantic Ocean. Up until now, the launch has been excellent and smooth. The second stage is operating at maximum capacity, although we are not getting the views as per customers' request today. And we are getting some views at least from the first stage, although it's a night time, so it's quite dark. The first stage has completed its task and now heading back for its landing. So next up, we will be expecting the call out for stage 1 entry burn startup. Now just a reminder, when we will hear the call out stage 1 FTS being saved, it means re-entry burn for stage 1 has been either initiated or accomplished.
Now, as a reminder, the booster flying on today's mission is flying for its 13th time, having previously supported
mission
supported NASA's Crew 8 mission, Polaris Dawn, the CRS-31 mission, to the International Space
entry burn startup.
To the International.
And there we got the call out, stage 1 entry burn startup, and we have just lit 3 of the 9 Merlin 1D engines on the first stage. We are rapidly slowing down the vehicle. You can see on the bottom left hand side of your screen from the telemetry, and this burn lasted just around 23 seconds. Stage 1 entry burn shutdown confirmation we got.
Good call out there. The Merlin engines on the Falcon first stage.
Also, meanwhile, just at the time of stage 1 entry burn startup, we got the call out for stage 1 FTS being saved. Next up, we will be hearing a call out for stage 1 being transonic. And that means the Falcon 9 first stage will be traveling slower than the speed of sound.
Coming up,
we are just about 1 minute. We will be having the
which will be the shutdown of the second stage MVAC engine.
Landing burn.
Reminder though, we will not have views of this milestone at the request of our customer.
Stage 2 has entered terminal guidance.
And good call out there. Now immediately after that SECO-1 call out, we should have startup of the landing burn on the Falcon 9 first stage. Now
so we will be having the SECO-1 before the landing burn, and we got the call out for stage 1 being transonic.
In order to allow for a precision
Stage
landing.
2 FTS has saved.
Another good call out there. And
Stage 2 FTS being saved, that means the orbital insertion burn is now complete. We are standing by for the SECO-1 call out.
We should be hearing that call out for the first stage landing burn in just a few moments from now.
SECO.
There we go, SECO-1 call out there, and we have the landing burn call out with that center E9 engine now lit. Great views of that landing burn. We are slowing down the vehicle furthermore, but very rapidly. Should be seeing those landing legs deploy any seconds now.
Landing leg deployed.
Landing legs deployed.
Stage 1 landing confirmed.
And there we have it, the successful 454th landing of an orbital class Falcon 9 rocket.
Now, as we mentioned,
We did got the call out today for the SECO-1 before the landing burn. We won't be having any further more views for the second stage. So with that, we will be wrapping up the call out, but I missed something, that we did got a nominal orbit insertion call out after the SECO-1 call out just prior to the stage 1 landing burn. Now just a reminder, today's launch marks SpaceX's 513th successful mission and a record 500th Falcon 9 launch, with the landing marking their 473rd success. Now about the upcoming Axiom 4 mission return coverage that will be starting with the farewell ceremony happening today, followed by hatch closing, and then the undocking from the space station. And next we will be having the splashdown of the AX4 Crew Dragon race. We will be streaming all of them, so be sure to check out the streams posted on our channel. So with that, we will wrap up our coverage for now. But before that, finally and most importantly, we want to thank you for tuning in to our live launch coverage wherever you are watching from. We really can't do this broadcast without your support. We are truly grateful for your continued encouragement for everything what we do here at AstroYonder. Also, be sure to check out our social media handle on X for the latest happenings in the space industry and updates on upcoming launches. I guess the link got posted in the chat section. If not, you can search us on X. Hope you enjoyed the stream. We really appreciate everyone joining us for today's launch. Wishing you a nice week ahead. Once again, thanks for watching. This is AstroYonder Live and me, Dipto, sign off for now, and we will see you next time.